Hi folks, I'm the Bald Guy, and these are Bald Guy Basics. I'm in the garden today. It is the 1st of June, not the first day of June, but the first week of June. And my garden is coming along quite nicely. Now, we live in suburban parts of South Central Virginia, and one of the problems I have here, I used to keep a garden that was unfenced. And in we're rural suburbs, not too far outside of Lynchburg, about 10 miles, I guess. But deer are a tremendous problem, as are rabbits and other raccoons and possum, other animals that just love to come along. I'm looking in my garden here behind the camera, and there's evidently a bird met its demise down here. There's a bunch of feathers. But what I wanted to do today is to show you how we turned an old dog lot, which I've done some other things on preparing this thing for gardening, but I want you to see how much produce that you can grow. And I don't even have my garden full this year, but I wanted you to see what you are able to do, or more particularly what I'm able to do, and to show you a really nice tool. Now, in an earlier video, I showed preparing the soil, and one of the things I did is I went to a farm and bought composted horse manure and threw it in. You have to be careful throwing mulch in, especially there are dyed mulches. The dyes can affect growing because sometimes those dyes include a pesticide or a herbicide to keep weeds from growing. So you've got to watch out for that. But I just had raw land here. So let me turn you around. What I have here in front of us are green beans, tomatoes, and cucumbers. And the cucumbers are where the bird feathers are. And then I've got some blank space up here where I'm standing. But this, if I remember, this dog lot is, 10 feet across and 20 or 24 feet long. So it's rather narrow. I'm standing in the gate here, and you see down this side, you see my cucumber vines, and I put them on the side here because I hope that they will, and they did this last year, they can run right up the chain link fence here. And here I've got green beans. Over here on the edge, I planted some onions, planted them a little bit late. And then of course back here I've got tomatoes. And I stake up most of my tomatoes. There's one squash plant there without the stake. And I've got some tomatoes back there at the back wall. Oh, and I've got the guard cat back there. It's made of plywood. I've got another one right there, but he's flopped over. And you see the feathers where somebody came along. But keeping this thing, get you turned around here, keeping this thing relatively weed free, you can hoe your garden. But my wife bought this thing, and let me see if you can see it here. It's called a Skidger, S-K-I-D-G-E-R. Have no idea what she gave for this thing, but let me find, there's a little growth here. It's as simple as that. I'm using this with one hand because the camera's in the other. And you just find, you see some stuff here. It is designed so that when you pull it back, it will just cut right through it. Here's some grass. It is the easiest way of cleaning up your garden because you don't have to have a chopping motion. Let me go, here's some grass over here. If it's really contrary, right there's a little weeds. I can get right up next to my plants, and it's bladed on front and back. So you just kind of pull it back and forth, and I have cleaned up my garden. And I'll admit that there are years when grass really threatens to take over my garden simply because it gets a little tight. And I have things that grow in off the side here. You can see on the, grows on the outside edge where I can't really weed eat. But it is a great little tool. So if you're going to do some gardening, and again, I remember, and right up next to that onion, and I'm able to pull it right apart. Get yourself the kind of tools that make your work easier. I'll be 60 years old at my next birthday, so I'll admit, whoo, I just about cut that one. That one's dead. And so the rest of this stuff is outside the garden box itself. I'm not too worried about that. Get yourself tools that make your job easier. I'm trying to prop up here so I can use both hands, and got a bug on my nose. And the Skidger, if I'm pronouncing it Skidger, is a great tool. They have a website, I noticed, www.skidger.com. See if I can get you to see that there. There's the head of this thing. So you see it cuts on the forward stroke, but what you really want to do is to get the stuff into that V there and just pull it. And again, right there's some grass. I don't know if you can see, but whoop, whoop. Just as simple as that. There's no pressure here, there's no chopping, and I can run it right up next to my plants and have no problem whatsoever. You notice how loose the soil is. I have found that the composted manure makes a great addition to my soil. This was pretty red clay-like soil. I've got some more grass here that doesn't look too bad now, but once my plants really start to run, you want to have as much of that grass gone, because then it's hard to get in there. And it's especially hard with a hoe. A hoe has been around forever and has been a really good tool, but this one's better. So there's a nice little trick for you to use in your garden. Another thing you can learn to do, and I prune my tomato plants, sorry. And some of the greenery, I guess it's mostly dried up now, I'm looking out through here. But as my tomato plants get taller, some of the greenery, if it's not producing blooms, blossoms, you're not going to get tomatoes. So the plant will actually be sending energy from the roots up the stem to grow leaves, and leaves don't grow tomatoes. So I take and cut a lot of that foliage off that does not produce. That means the nourishment coming up from the roots goes into producing fruit. It's the same thing grape growers, people at vineyards have done for years. It's if you even care to hear this, it's even biblical. In the Gospel of John, the Lord said that He is the vine, we are the branches, and He prunes us. And He prunes us to take away useless growth. You can grow in areas that'll never be used, that'll never bear fruit. And it's an agricultural illustration of something that's very true. Plants can grow very tall and they look really luxurious, and they'll spend all their energy growing stems and leaves and not fruit. So we cut back some of the stems and some of the leaves so that we'll have more fruit. So just there you get Sunday school and gardening all in the same lesson today. Hope you're having a good summer this year, and I look forward to hearing your comments. Hope you'll leave us a like. Hope you'll subscribe to the channel. Hope you'll share it with your friends, and we'll see you on the next video. I am the Bald Guy, and these are Bald Guy Basics.